Guys, we are well overdue for a Blake Lively update, and the tea is piping hot, if you will. The Pope's new brother is certainly a character, and thank God nudity is out of style. All right, guys, so unless you were living under a rock, then you probably saw that last week, the first ever American Pope was elected. A man named Robert Francis Prevost was elected and took the name Pope Leo. He is the first ever American Pope. He is from Chicago, which is probably the most American thing ever. He's also a baseball fan. And guys, the media just went wild. And obviously, this is a huge worldwide event. The videos, the coverage of this was truly insane. Before we even get into him and his brother, the most insane thing that I saw come out of the conclave and everything going on was, I think it was CNN or NBC, somebody was covering all of the events, and they were talking about what happens when all the cardinals go into the Vatican and they close the doors and they start doing their votes. And somebody in the mainstream media literally said they have to turn in their phones, they don't have access to social media or the outside world, they are raw dogging the conclave. That's what they literally said. That is like a Gen Z slang term for like sitting on an airplane and just tuning the world out and just like existing instead of, texting your friends, being on social media, watching a movie. You're not listening to music. You're just raw dogging your flight. They literally said that the Cardinals were raw dogging this conclave. So if that is not the most 2025 thing I have ever heard, I don't know what is. But anyway, so this man, now Pope Leo, was elected, and we were all focused on him and being the new American Pope. Americans, especially Americans on the right, were simultaneously so excited that we had an American Pope and were feeling very patriotic, but then they also dug up old tweets and they saw that he possibly, most likely, is anti-Trump, so then they got very, very angry, but then a new shiny thing distracted our attention, and that would be the Pope's brothers. Now, before we dive into that story, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to this channel if you've not already, and of course, ring that notification bell so that you stay up to date on all of our episodes. And guys, in case you missed it, we launched my tour last week in Phoenix and Irvine. It was so much fun. I loved being there with you guys and meeting so many of you in person. If you want to come out and see a show, we have many more coming up next month in June. You can buy all those tickets at brettcooper.com, where you can also find information about my subscriber-only platform, Cooper Confidential, which is also linked in the description below. All right, so first of all, I just think it is so hilarious that we know who the Pope's brothers are. And I understand, popes have families, but I think all of this happening in 2025 in the age of TikTok and social media has just made this seem so modern in a way that it hasn't felt before. I was doing research, and Pope Francis, he had a family. He had a sister who lived in Argentina, but we never heard anything about them. They never came and visited him. I think that he only saw her maybe once since becoming Pope, if at all. It was very, very distant. And guys, the craziest story that came out of this was the fact that one of their childhood neighbors watched these young boys grow up, would see them play together, would interact with them, and she took a look at Robert, now Pope Leo, and said, "You're going to be Pope one day. You are so holy, you are so dedicated to your church at literally the age of 6, you are going to be Pope one day." And he did. I mean, it's just crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. But what is even crazier, and I know I keep saying crazy, but this whole thing is just wild, is the fact that the new Pope's older brother is a straight up Facebook MAGA Florida man. It is truly incredible. And the new Pope does seem to be a little bit more centrist in his views. And I know this because nobody really seems happy. A lot of people on the right don't think that he is traditional and conservative enough. A lot of people on the left don't think that he is progressive enough. He's seemingly landing somewhere in the middle, but his older brother certainly is not. Here are some of the videos that we all saw.
To me, he's my little brother. If I get to see him again, I'm going to treat him like I treat my little brother. Until somebody slaps me and says, "You can't talk to the Pope like that." He's not the Pope, he's my brother.
Yeah, what are you going to say to him, Lewis?
So I'm going to say, "I told you this would happen."
And that's another funny story. And apparently it's that the new Pope was literally texting his family and friends and saying, "Nah, guys, it's not me. They're never going to choose me. I'm not in the running. This is ridiculous." And his family was saying, "No, you literally could become the next Pope. Everybody thinks you're going to be Pope one day. This could be you." And he was, the Pope texting is so, so funny. But his brothers, they all thought that he would be. Here's another clip.
Watching him on the balcony, and he started to do his initial prayer and speech to the crowd out there in Italian, and I thought, I'm not sure what he's saying. Then he switched to Spanish, and I thought, okay, Quit showing off, you little jerk.
Like, it's so humanizing in a really, really pure way that I think is getting a lot of people excited. Like, I feel like this could be a really interesting thing for young people who are watching all of this unfold on social media. Like, now it is so close to home because you have an American Pope and he has a family that feels very, very real. Like, everybody kind of has that, you know, crazy MAGA uncle that posts on Facebook. So does the Pope. It's his older brother. And of course, people immediately dug up all of this man's posts. My personal favorite that I saw was the fact that he called Nancy Pelosi a drunk see you next Tuesday, which I think we can all relate to that. He also had a post where he was telling the freeloading liberals to move out of the country because we didn't want them here anyway. And I also feel like this is just par for the course. Like, the new Pope is not the only man that has a now controversial or funny brother who's in his family. Like, obviously my mind first goes to Obama's brother, Malik, who famously joined in on the conspiracy theory that Obama was not actually born here in the United States. He also posted things like this, which were just truly so crazy. He posted this photo of him and Obama and said, "Me and fake ass a snake, President Barack Obama when he was a nobody." Like, it's truly just insane. My producer also brought up Jimmy Carter's brother, who was apparently like a hoot back in the day. Look at this New York Times article from 1979. They said, "Every good yarn has a sequel, and the latest saga of Billy Carter," that's Jimmy Carter's brother, "is no exception. Just to freshen memories, the president's brother caused noticeable cringing at the White House by taking a group of Libyans on a rollicking tour, by making comments about Jews that some apparently thought to be anti-Semitic, and apparently by stepping out of a limousine and then in the presence of an Arab diplomat and Atlanta Journal reporter urinating on a runway apron in Atlanta." I mean, it is just truly crazy. He also apparently started his own beer company. You can see a photo of it here. The beer is no longer around. We cannot purchase it. Apparently, it tasted horrible, unlike my favorite coffee, 7 Weeks. Now, 7 Weeks is Alex's and my go-to coffee that we drink literally every single day. I have a cup of it right next to me as I'm filming this, and as you guys know, I am super picky about what ingredients we bring into our home and what we buy, and 7 Weeks absolutely hits the mark. This coffee is mold-free, it is pesticide-free, it is shade-grown and low-acid, and it is organically farmed. Not to mention, in addition to these incredible, incredible processes, they also have an incredible mission. 7 Weeks Coffee is America's pro-life coffee company on a mission to help fund the pro-life movement one cup of coffee at a time. They donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers and pro-life organizations across the country, and to date, they have raised over $900,000 for these centers and have saved thousands and thousands of lives. And the reason why they're called 7 Weeks is because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean. Now, my baby, as you guys know, I am pregnant, is far beyond a coffee bean, but at one point, my little app told me it was a coffee bean, and I was drinking 7 Weeks at the time, so it was perfect. Now, 7 Weeks truly makes an incredible product, and I love that I can stand behind both the ingredients and the values of the company. So if you are ready to make the switch to 7 Weeks, just go to 7weekscoffee.com and save 15% off forever when you subscribe. Plus, you will get a free gift with your order. And exclusively for my viewers, all the Cooper Troopers, you can use code Brett for an extra 10% off your first order. So that makes 25% in total savings on your first order, plus a free gift. Just use code Brett at checkout. But back to these hilarious brothers, I do think that there is an interesting discourse about the new Pope and how personable he feels and how relevant he feels in our modern digital age. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who feel very uncomfortable with the fact that he is so accessible, that we're seeing pictures of him allegedly at baseball games, that they're doing interviews with his brothers, that we see his brother's Facebook posts, that we see his old tweets allegedly. And I know that that is very, very weird, and I kind of sympathize with that. But I would also offer just a possible counter argument, and we'll see how this actually turns out, that I feel like this could bring a lot of young people into the fold because he is going to be more accessible than ever. He is more relatable than possibly any other pope has ever been, especially to people here in America where faith is disappearing on a daily basis. So who knows? We'll see how this turns out. What I really want to know is what the Pope thinks about Cynthia Erivo playing Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar, because that is the next story we need to dive into. So if you guys don't know, Cynthia Erivo is the actress who played Elphaba in the new Wicked movie that came out last year. She became a huge star. You've probably seen pictures of her with her freaking insane looking nails. She was the one who was in all the videos with Ariana Grande. They were just like clinging to each other. She was the one who Ariana was like holding her finger and crying. She is the center of many, many memes that we have all laughed at now. And while she still has another Wicked movie that is coming out this year, she also is embarking on a new acting journey. And she will be playing Jesus in the musical Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl this summer. And of course, that has caused a media firestorm because why is a black lesbian playing Jesus? Now, in addition to that, they also hired Adam Lambert to play Judas. And you can see these two individuals here. You have Jesus and Judas. looks straight out of the Bible, if you're asking me. And I know that we often get all up in arms about race swapping, but this is not even about the race swapping. Like, the most offensive part about this is that a lesbian, a female, is playing Jesus. It's just ridiculous, but also we do have to acknowledge that Jesus Christ Superstar, it is not the most traditional of musicals. Like, this is not something that you would see in your local church. It is a rock musical. It's about the last 7 days of Jesus' life from Judas's POV. It definitely takes liberties. It's not the most traditional thing to begin with. So again, I'm not surprised that in the year 2025, Cynthia Erivo is playing Jesus, but casting a lesbian is even crazier than any other casting decisions I have seen for this musical in the history of me being involved in musical theater. Like, it is a weird musical to begin with that I think a lot of more traditional Christians would not like, but this is just taking it a step even further. So of course people are going to be upset on social media, and I get it. You know, casting somebody as perfect as Jonathan Rumi was probably a step too far for traditional Hollywood, but like, this is truly insane. It's taking it to a next level. Like, to be honest, Cynthia Erivo playing Jesus is possibly more slanderous than the lawsuit that we have to cover next, because guys, there are major updates in the Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni lawsuit, and we need to dive in. Okay, so last week you probably saw on social media, Taylor Swift was officially brought into the fold. And obviously she wrote a song that was in It Ends With Us, but up until this point, it was all just kind of murmurs and rumors connected to her alleged best friendship with Blake Lively. Who knows if they're actually even best friends anymore? But now, as of last week, she has officially been subpoenaed. She has been brought into the lawsuit, and there has been so much that has happened with this case that we have not covered on this show, so I think we are due for kind of a mini update. So first, we do have to talk about the music, because that is what ties us into Taylor Swift here. What I learned this week in doing some research and doing some catch up, because I have to admit, I have fallen behind on all of these updates, I learned that there was a scandal within the composer who was doing the score for the film It Ends With Us, which is what this entire multi-lawsuit scandal revolves around. So get this. Brian Tyler, who is one of the highest grossing composers ever, was originally brought onto the project to score it, and his resume includes films like Avengers, Iron Man 3, Thor, Fast and Furious franchise, Crazy Rich Asians, he did Yellowstone, the Super Mario Bros. Like, he has done basically everything across a myriad of different genres, and 2 months before the film was released, Blake Lively fired him. Just done. Out of nowhere, he was fired. And obviously, because this happened 2 months before the film came out, this man had basically finished everything. The score was done. And allegedly, Blake didn't even listen to it. She did not hear a single note, and yet she said she was done. And of course, because there's this big conspiracy about her and Ryan Reynolds taking over the film and bringing in their own people and writing all of these scenes for the project that Justin Baldoni had been working on for years prior to them even getting involved, just as kind of like a little recap, of course, because all of that was happening, Blake Lively decided to bring on a couple people from her own Rolodex. She brought on 2 men named Rob Simonson and Duncan Blinkenstaff, who did the score for none other than Deadpool. So these are people that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively had worked with before. And apparently, understandably, Brian Tyler was devastated. He had never been fired before. He was worried about this ruining his career and his reputation, because suddenly he was off this project without a moment's notice. Insiders have claimed that BAFTA and Emmy Award nominee Tyler was terrified of people in the industry discovering that he had been replaced, and was left fearing the impact on his decades-long career. Quote, "When Blake took over the film, Brian had already finished a majority, if not all of the score, based on what Justin, who was the producer and the director, wanted creatively for the film. Blake didn't even listen to his score. She knew that she wanted to bring on Rob and Duncan, so she didn't even listen. But because maybe it was a decision that Justin made and she was so angry at Justin and she wanted to take it over, she wanted her own people that she could control to step in to do the music." Now, going on, they said that Baldoni and producer Jamie Heath fought with Lively over the decision to axe Tyler, but were left with no option but to call him and break the devastating news that he was being shafted from the project. Quote, "Jamie and Justin fought this, obviously, but when it became clear that there was nothing they could do, nothing he could do with his own film, they had to call Brian and tell him that he was being let go. The insider continued and said that Brian was paid out in his contract in full. So he was literally paid to do the entire thing. Blake didn't even listen. 2 months before it came out, he was fired." Quote, "He shared his concern at the time that he did not want it to be known that he was fired. He had never been fired in his life, and he wanted this to be super confidential. But now, as all of the scandal has been unfolding, the information has come out, he updated his IMDb, I think because now he is listed as uncredited for It Ends With Us, and on IMDb, his score is listed as, quote, unused. So that man was sacked. Blake Lively brought in her own team. And one of the guys that she hired, Rob Simonson, was even asked about this in a podcast. And this is what he had to say. Again, guys, it is so crazy. This kind of thing never happens. Again, blockbuster film 2 months before release. Take a listen.
So there was like a week of recording left on Deadpool, and I suddenly get a text from Blake, and she sent a little video saying, I'm doing this thing, need a score.
Thing.
Can you deliver it in a week? And I said, I don't think a week, but maybe 3 if we have 3. So that materialized, and so it was sequential. Was able to kind of finish up Deadpool, but I was going from the dub of Deadpool and going back to the studio at night working on Blake's film.
I mean, guys, this is crazy. Like, this is insane. This is not, I cannot tell you how abnormal this is. So he was still working on Deadpool, because remember, they tried to do this whole, like, It Ends With Us crossover with Deadpool, and you had, like, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds at all the premieres. It was this whole thing. This composer was at the center of it. He was finishing up Deadpool. Blake Lively texts him and is like, hey, I'm taking over this film. Allegedly. I don't want to get sued. Allegedly. And she says, you have a week to do it. So he's recording all of this. He's finishing Deadpool, and then he's going home at night to write an entire score for It Ends With Us. When there was a pre-existing one that I'm sure was great, that totally fit in with the vibe of the film, but no, apparently that didn't work for Blake Lively. And all of this was out in the open, and it was being spoken about. Like, in that same interview, he was even asked if there was a composer who was working before him, because this was so random, and he said, yeah, I was a replacement. Take a listen.
Was there a composer before that or did they just one day wake up and say, oh, you know what we need? A score. Call that guy who's doing my husband's movie.
Guys, I'm so uncomfortable watching this right now. Okay, so this podcast interview, it only has 800 views on YouTube. It came out 8 months ago. You could feel the discomfort just like seeping out of the screen. This composer's like, yeah, that was really weird and very abnormal. And the interviewer is like, how do I ask this question? Like, this is very odd that they didn't have a composer, or that there was somebody else. Like, what's the story here? Because again, I cannot stress how unique this is. Okay.
How do you end up getting a call with, we're in that kind of a pinch, unless I kind of guessed correctly?
He's like, how do I respond?
Yeah, I think probably it was a scenario of a last second replacement.
Yeah. He's like, how much can I say without getting sued? I mean, the man is so uncomfortable. He's like shifting his entire position, like, oh yeah, how much can I say? Guys, it is just so strange. And guys, this is how we circle right on back to Taylor Swift with everything that is happening over the last couple of weeks, because there were rumors circulating that Taylor was actually the person who advised Blake or made the decision to cut the original composer. And Daily Mail wrote about this. The original composer says that he has no idea if that happened. He's had no relationship with Taylor Swift. They wrote, the source insisted that Tyler never worked with or met Taylor Swift, despite rumors swirling that the singer told Lively that she would only allow use of her song in the film if Tyler was not involved, which just seems like a crazy rumor, but also this entire film just seems like it was a fever dream, so I'm not putting anything past them at this point. But to be fair, that does seem relatively factual. I mean, you can look on IMDb, you can look up their history. Taylor Swift and this man have not worked on any projects together, so it seems more likely, in my opinion, that Ryan Reynolds was the one who made the call. He wanted to be the one involved in this production. He was writing scripts, he was bringing in new editors and people for post-production, and it just makes sense that, oh, what a coincidence! Also, the people doing the score for Deadpool just happens to be hired 2 months before the film comes out. And now that you have that update, we can really get into Taylor Swift here, because last week, as I said earlier, it was revealed that she was officially subpoenaed in the lawsuit. And if you guys don't remember, Justin's lawsuit does include multiple exchanges, multiple references to Taylor Swift's involvement in the film, and this didn't just come from him, it came from Blake. And the real damning evidence of this involvement was that in a text that she sent to Justin Baldoni, Blake basically threatened him and said that she had dragons on her side, these fire-breathing dragons. That was Taylor Swift. Because allegedly, a couple of times where there were confrontations about things going on in the film, things that Ryan Reynolds was unhappy about, Justin Baldoni would go over to their apartment, and who was there? None other than Taylor Swift. And then she kept coming up in these text messages. So again, it's just weird. It's threatening. I think everybody just needs to sit down, Blake, Justin, her dragons over a Good Rancher steak and work this all out. Now, for anyone out there who is worried about the tariffs affecting them at the grocery store, do not worry. Good Ranchers is completely tariff proof. And that is because their meat is actually 100% American. It is born, it is raised, it is processed, it is packaged, it is shipped right here in the United States. And you might be thinking that this is crazy, like I see American meat at the grocery store all the time. Well, a lot of that meat isn't actually American raised. So all of that means you won't have to worry about your meat prices going up. And Good Ranchers is also giving you your pick of free meat for life if you subscribe today. That is free ground beef, wild-caught salmon, and seed oil-free chicken nuggets or bacon in every box for the life of your Good Rancher subscription. And not only are their cuts of beef, chicken, and pork and seafood delicious, but the service and value that they deliver is truly unmatched. This is an amazing company that I am so proud to support. It is run by great people who I love, and I am so proud to work with them. Plus, we eat them on a literal daily basis. So now is the time to change the way that you buy meat and economy-proof your meals with Good Ranchers. Because in a world that is constantly changing, you should know that at least one thing is staying stable. So visit goodranchers.com/Brett today and unlock your free meat for life and get $40 off with my code Brett at checkout today. Again, that's goodranchers.com/Brett, code Brett at checkout. Don't leave your food up to chance. Now, the best way to complement your family dinner with Good Ranchers is by watching an incredible Western. And you guys know that I am a huge fan of Western culture and Western films, and Angel Studios' latest movie, The Last Rodeo, starring Neil McDonough, absolutely delivers. It follows a retired rodeo legend who competes in a high-stakes bull riding contest as the oldest contestant ever to save his grandson's life, and it will be out in theaters on May 23rd. With hits like Sound of Freedom, Sound of Hope, and most recently King of Kings, Angel Studios consistently delivers inspiring, values-driven stories, and The Last Rodeo is no exception. Plus, I'm just so proud to support a company that shares my passion for meaningful storytelling. And if you join the Angel Guild at angel.com/Brett, you will get 2 free tickets to every Angel Studios theatrical release, including The Last Rodeo, and you will be helping supporting that mission as well. Plus, you get to help decide which films Angel actually greenlights, which is so cool. You, as a guild member, get to help decide what films audiences like you and me actually see. So get ready to see The Last Rodeo and sign up today for the Angel Guild at angel.com/Brett, and make sure to stick around until the end of today's show to watch the trailer for this amazing film. So obviously, an amicable sit-down over steak did not happen again. Like I said, Justin feels like he was kind of ambushed by Taylor Swift and Blake and Ryan at their apartment, and they pressured him, allegedly with Taylor Swift's help, into him giving into Blake's demands. One article reads, while Swift was not named in the suit, her first name appears in a text message that Baldoni sent to Lively and is believed to be the mega celebrity friend referenced in the filing. The text concerned a rooftop scene in the film that Lively had allegedly reworked in the script. The suit states that Lively summoned Baldoni to her penthouse in New York, where Reynolds and the mega celebrity friend raised Lively's version of the scene. Baldoni's lawyer stated that he felt obliged to text Lively to say that he had liked her pages and hadn't needed Reynolds and her mega celebrity friend to pressure him. So again, whether Taylor likes it or not, her fingerprints are on this. She is involved in this case. However, after the subpoena, her team started working overtime, and they quickly released a statement denying any and all involvement in the film, saying there is no reason why Taylor should be involved. This is ridiculous. They said a spokesperson for Swift denied any involvement with the film in a statement to Variety beyond her licensing one single song, My Tears Ricochet, to be used in the trailer and a scene. Quote, Taylor Swift never set foot on the set of this movie. She was not involved in any casting or creative decisions. She did not score the film. She never saw an edit or made notes on the film. She did not even see It Ends With Us until weeks after its public release, and was traveling around the globe during 2023 and 2024, headlining the biggest tour in history. So basically her team is saying, Taylor Swift is not involved. She is far more important. She was making millions. She was singing to thousands and thousands and thousands of fans. She does not want to be involved. She did not go to the premiere. She made one post. Please leave her out of it. And all of this comes on the heels of these rumors, these blind items, these like sources coming out to the tabloids saying that Blake and Taylor are no more. There are sources that have come out to say that Taylor feels betrayed, that Blake Lively pulled her into this, that it's ruining her reputation. All of that is swirling, and in my opinion, this statement, with how firm and kind of cold it is, confirms all of that. And it's further confirmed, in my opinion, by what her law firm filed in response to the subpoena. And they said, listen, both parties involved in this lawsuit are playing with public opinion. They are making this into this big spectacle. Taylor does not want to be involved in any of it. And why that stands out to me is because she wasn't just pointing the finger at Justin Baldoni. She wasn't saying, like, I'm here supporting my friend, my gal pal. She is saying, both of you people are making this insane, and I do not want to be involved in the slightest. But the unfortunate thing for Taylor Swift, I don't know if she's going to be able to get out of this very easily, because there has now been a long history that is forever cemented on the internet talking about her involvement in the film. There are multiple people who have worked on the film who said that she actually played a big role, including Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni. Just take a look at these videos.
She told me Taylor Swift helped her get the role, like signed off on her audition tape.
I had brought in, I was casting, and I had actually brought in and showed her casting tape to Blake and Taylor, and they were both like, yes, her. And that's a true story.
Also, we just have to point out, poor Justin, now that we know everything that was going on behind the scenes, this man looks exhausted. He's like, oh my God, I have to answer a question about this dragon, the mega celebrity friend who forced me into doing all of these things. Anyway, here's another video.
I hear that Taylor may have had some influence in getting
Yes, she did. Yeah, I know. I don't even know if I'm meant to be saying it, but I'm saying it. Yeah, she was a helpful part of the process of the audition, which I found out later after I got it, and that rocked my world.
Unfortunate for Taylor. She was not involved in the slightest, and yet everyone is saying that she was. All right, last video, here we go.
It feels like a big, beautiful summer movie, but like we didn't have any budget.
Well, you probably didn't have any budget because you fired your composer after paying him to do the entire thing and hiring somebody else. Sorry, I just had to say that. That seems like a really easy way to blow a budget, Blake Lively.
So there were a lot of favors and a lot of begging, and
Your knees for Taylor?
I mean, honestly, she was with me on this experience the whole time, all throughout it. So like, she really lived this with me. Yeah, she was, she's a person who shows up for you.
Oh yeah, she showed up for It Ends With Us the whole time. I'm so sorry, Taylor. I'm so sorry for your PR people, your legal team, but you were involved the whole time. You went on this journey with Blake. You were at her apartment. You were listening to the music. You were looking at the audition tapes, and I'm sure that you were just trying to be a good best friend, as best friends do. Little did you know, this would turn into you being subpoenaed in possibly the biggest lawsuit of the last 5 years, at least of this year. I mean, I know that Diddy is going on. We're going to talk about that next week because there are crazy things happening. But I mean, this is taking over the entire world, and it's not slowing down in the slightest. We just cannot stop talking about it because they can't stop being crazy. So anyway, the point being, clearly, Taylor had some involvement. In some capacity, they have every reason to subpoena her, especially based on those text messages where Blake is literally referencing her, so I don't think she's gonna get out of this very quickly. Now, the other update that I think is really interesting and also doesn't really work well in Blake Lively's favor is that there is another person being subpoenaed, and this is a man named Adam. He is an actor, and he played the OBGYN in the birthing scene of It Ends With Us. And in Blake's lawsuit, she claims that this scene specifically with this actor was so uncomfortable for her, she had to apparently watch these very nude and sexual birthing scenes to prepare for this. She was nearly nude, and she was uncomfortable because this man, this actor, was Justin's friend. Quote, Miss Lively felt that the selection of Mr. Baldoni's friend for this intimate role, in which the actor's face and hands were in close proximity to her nearly nude genitalia for a birth scene, was invasive and humiliating, the complaint further alleged. Now, here is the actor's POV on that scene, which makes this even more interesting. This article reads, in response to Lively's claim that she was nearly nude, he, the actor, alleges that, quote, her costume included a full hospital gown, black shorts, torso-covering prosthetic to make her appear pregnant, in addition to whatever personal garments she chose, end quote. The actor further claims that the Gossip Girl alum, quote, never complained or expressed discomfort at any point because nothing unusual and nothing improper occurred. It was entirely professional. So, of course, this is a case of he said, she said, but again, this is not looking good for Blake Lively. And whether Blake was nude or not, we do know one thing for sure. There will be no nudity at the Cannes Film Festival. Now, if you don't know, the Cannes Film Festival is this huge event. It happens in the south of France every spring, and this film festival has officially banned nudity on their red carpet. And it's unfortunate that they have to do such a thing, but it's 2025 and everybody basically walks around half naked, so not really a surprise. Festival goers' charter states, for decency reasons, nudity is prohibited on the red carpet as well as any other areas of the festival. Voluminous outfits, in particular those with a large train that hinder the proper flow of traffic of guests and complicate seating in the theater, are not permitted. Festival welcoming teams will be obligated to prohibit red carpet access to anyone not respecting these rules. There's a lot of hubbub on social media about this, and they're saying that this is like restricting art. Why are they doing this? They're being so traditional, whatever. These seem like common sense rules. We don't want to see tits. We don't want to see ass cheeks. We don't want huge trains getting in the middle of people's faces and like hitting them in the head when they're trying to sit down and watch a movie. Like, this is totally rational. This makes complete sense. And it's insane that we live in a world where people have to be told in writing not to free their nipples. That like maybe, just maybe, we don't want to see a red carpet full of actresses showing off their boobs in every single part of their body. And you might be thinking, Brett, how insane are these outfits? Like, why would they even feel the need to ban this in the first place? Well, don't worry. I compiled a list of some of these outfits. I thought we could go down a little memory lane just to see why this had to happen. For example, here is Bella Hadid in 2021. That's basically just fully nude. A bra is looking like her organ. I have no other way to describe that. Bella Hadid again in 2024, where you can basically see everything. And I don't think any of us decent people want to see everything. Next up, as a palate cleanser, we have something that is a tad more modest. This is Irina Shayk in 2023. At least she's relatively covered. We have Natasha Poly, who is also basically fully in the nude. And of course, we have to cap it all off with none other than Julia Fox, because of course Julia Fox would be half naked on a red carpet. I mean, that one is probably the most insane out of all of these. Here's another one. She's just kind of always naked at all times. Now, all of those that I just showed you were focused on the top half of these women's bodies, but you know, we believe in equality and equity here. So here's another woman, ass fully bare for everyone to see. But don't worry, none of that will be happening in June in France as all of these celebrities are walking the red carpet. And I just have to say, it is so beautifully ironic and hysterical that it's France, of all countries, of all cultures, that is finally drawing a line in the sand. Like, France is the home of the topless protests. Like, we make fun of them all the time on the show, and they are the ones that are finally like, okay, people, we've taken this a little too far. We don't want any more of this. Maybe it's okay if you're protesting in the streets, but on these classy red carpets, let's bring back some decency. Now, interestingly, another point that I wanted to make is that this seems like it might be becoming a trend, and it seems like it could be on the heels of Bianca Censori, who is Kanye West's ex, going completely nude at the Grammys last year, because apparently, soon after that, the Oscars banned nude dresses as well. This was not a public statement. This just seems like an alleged rumor, things people were whispering, but apparently they sent out a memo being like, please, for the love of God, do not do what we saw on the Grammys red carpet. And you know what? I'm here for it, because I was happy with this year's Oscars. The dresses were stunning. Everyone was fully clothed. It was elegant. It was very classy, very old Hollywood, which hopefully we are bringing back. And guys, this brings me to the very last thing that I want to cover on the show. This is just kind of like the button of today's episode. One last Hollywood story, and that is that Disney decided to try and beat a dead horse, and last week, they attempted to re-release Snow White, and none of us heard about it. Snow White was still in 300 theaters. I don't know how it was still in 300 theaters, but they decided, you know what? Let's just try this again. You know, everything has died down. Maybe people will see it in theaters and they'll want to come back, whatever it is. Let's make this a summer blockbuster hit, and they re-released the film in 1,300 theaters across the country. Guess how much money they made? Just like think of a number in your head. Guess how much money? Think of these huge, multi-million-dollar films. They made $300,000 in 1,300 theaters. That means that they averaged about $200 per theater. That means that like 20 people per theater bought tickets. That is hard. Like, that is so, I'm cringing for Disney right now because that is so embarrassing. Like, I don't think we needed any more confirmation that Snow White was a flop. Like, we saw the numbers. We saw them cancel the new live action Rapunzel. We're seeing them scale back this entire business model of films that they've been doing. But apparently, Disney did need confirmation, and I think that this was probably the final nail in the coffin. Sorry, Rachel Zegler, I guess it just didn't work.
Yeah. Weird.
So there you have it, guys. There is your news of the week. Unhinged family members will always come back to make us laugh and possibly embarrass you. Taylor Swift, I'm sorry, all you are is a liar, because you certainly were involved in the production of this film, and I'm very happy to say that Modesty is officially back in style. Now, I hope everybody has a great weekend. Get rested, because the Diddy trial is in full swing, and we have a lot to talk about.
Hey everyone, I'm Neil McDonough.
I'm Michael T. Williamson.
I'm Reve McDonough, and I play Rose.
I play Charlie Williams.
And I play Joe Wainwright in the new cowboy drama, The Last Rodeo.
We are doing something you've probably never seen a cowboy film do before.
For each ticket you pre-order to The Last Rodeo,
you get entered to win the Last Rodeo giveaway,
which includes a brand new Ford Raptor F-150, a customized RV trailer from Imperial Outdoor, $100K in Bitcoin, and a ton of other huge prizes for you and for your family.
So click the link below to enter the giveaway.
everything that you put all of us through the last time you rode, you will not get on that bull.
Well, then what are we gonna do about Cody?
I'm gonna be okay, Mom.
$750,000 for first place. You got a better idea, I'm all ears.
We've got some incredible news. The rodeo legend's gonna compete for the first time in years.
Give me the green light. Joe Wainwright. 3-time world champ. Rides again.
This is gonna be big.
This ain't the senior circuit.
Good luck. You're gonna need it.
Joe Wainwright competing at over 50 years young.
I'm grandfathered in, right?
Well, you right about that granddad part. Oh! His grandson's sick, and he's got to earn money. That's why he's here. You gotta focus, Joe.
In my seat, I only ask once. That went well.
Yeah, very. Be patient with her. She loves you fiercely.
Can Joe Wainwright keep up?
I'm fine.
Of course you are.
That's a genuine, true legend right there.
Here we go!
Come on, Joe, get it!